Now to Senator Rand Paul. It's against the Senate health care plan. Senator Paul, thank you for joining us this morning. You're calling the defeat of the Senate health care plan a victory for conservatives, but this has been a 7-year promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. You have control of the Senate, you have control of the House, you have the White House right now. Obamacare is in place. How is this a victory for conservatives?
Well, no, what I'm calling a victory is not the defeat of the plan. What I'm calling a victory is that we will get to vote on a clean repeal. I've been advocating that we repeal Obamacare, all of it, and we're at least going to get a vote on a partial repeal, and that is a victory because I wasn't in favor of an insurance company bailout. The previous bill had about $180 billion to give to insurance companies. Look, insurance companies have gotten rich on Obamacare. They used to make $6 billion a year in profit. They're now up to $15 billion a year in profit. We shouldn't be giving any taxpayer money to insurance companies, so I objected to that, but I'm actually in favor of and will vote to go to the clean repeal that's being proposed now.
But Senator, as you know, there aren't the votes now for the clean repeal, and back in January, you warned against repealing without a replacement. You said that repealing that would risk the blame for the continuing unraveling of Obamacare.
Yeah.
So isn't that still the case?
Yeah, I still favor replacement at the same time, but what we discovered is that Republicans don't agree on replacement. My idea of replacement is letting people join co-ops and letting people get the discount and leverage of getting lower prices by joining a big group. And in fact, one thing that I'm going to recommend to the president, if I see the president today, is that I believe he can unilaterally legalize these buying groups through the Department of Labor. There's a special law that was passed in the 70s, the ERISA law, and we think that he has the discretion to legalize this. So if this does break down in Congress, I think there's one enormous thing that President Trump can do on his own, and that is to let anybody in the country get out of the individual market where the death spiral is and get into an association so they can get better pricing.
I know you want to see the president tape, but the New York Times is reporting he's kind of annoyed with you. He told those other senators on Monday night that he was upset with your grandstanding to defeat the Senate bill.
I think the president and I have a good relationship. I've been one of his strongest defenders. I will continue to defend him against mainstream media attacks. But on issues of substance like health care, he knows where I'm coming from. I've been here, ever since I ran for office. I was at the first Tea Parties saying that Obamacare was a mistake and we should repeal it, the whole thing. And I always wanted to replace it and still do, but I want to replace it with freedom, competition, legalize inexpensive insurance. I just don't want another big government program. And I'm also fearful, both politically and also from a point of view of policy, that if we keep parts of Obamacare in place, that the Republican plan will fail. And I'm really wanting Republicans to be saved from themselves, because if they take over health care and pass something that resembles Obamacare and doesn't work, then we will own a terrible and tragic health care system. And I don't think Republicans ought to own this thing. I agree with the president. Obamacare is a disaster, but it's the Democrats' creation, and all the problems of its unraveling belong to Democrats.
Senator, our viewers, as you might imagine, are intensely interested in this, getting a lot of questions on Facebook, more on this subject than any other. And here's the one that's coming in more than any other. Dawn Polshewitz has an example. Why can't we all have the health care program that the senators and congressmen have? We are getting that question again and again and again.
Yeah, and I think it comes from a misconception that some of the media promoted. We actually are stuck with Obamacare. My family, we hate what we have. We used to be on the federal employee plan. The federal employee plan is actually not a bad plan, and most people do like the federal employee plan, but we are on Obamacare. It's a misconception that we're not on Obamacare. We have Obamacare. It's terrible. My wife and I spend hours on the phone trying to get the insurance companies to pay for anything. We're just like every American, very, very frustrated with the insurance system.
Senator Paul, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Robin?
All right, George, now to new developments overnight.